Garrick adds more padding to the seat of Morn's trousers. Brunt, FCA, accuses Quark of being a philanthropist. And Aunt Nerisse moves in with the O'Briens. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the seventh rule with the juiciest man in Hollywood, Citrus Lofton.
Citrus.
My name's Ryan T. Husk, and Cirroc did remind us a couple weeks ago that if you put Cirroc into your mobile device, it does autocorrect it to citrus, which is fitting. You're tasty, you're juicy, you're good, you're healthy, right?
Yeah, I'm orange juicy. Citrus.
And today we're doing a review of Deep Space Nine's Season 4 Body Parts, directed by, I just realized, Mr. Avery Brooks. Story is by Louis P. DeSantis and Robert J. Bolivar. If you add a middle initial, it makes you sound, never mind.
It makes you sound like Ryan T.
Yeah. A little pompous.
Shut up.
Teleplay by Hans X. Beimler.
Yeah, Mr. Hans Beimler.
People have told me in the past, they're like, adding a T in your name makes you sound pompous. And I was like, I'm good with that.
It's fine. It's all right.
It works. If the shoe fits, right? How are you, man?
I don't have a middle name, actually. So people ask me all the time, you don't have a middle name? And I don't think it's an Ethiopian thing. My mom never gave me a middle name. So it's not really a big Ethiopian thing. Middle names.
Well, you're lucky that you have a name that nobody else has. So you don't need a middle name, a middle initial, and anything like that. Like, you are Cirroc. So that's it. You win. Yeah. There are no others.
Except for that vodka. But yes, I do have a recognizable name. That's just, I don't need that extra letter to distinguish me. But I do get letters sometimes in the mail from bill collectors with a middle initial in it. And I know that it's not for me. It's for somebody who's stolen my identity. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they'll say, hey, Mr., whatever middle initial in there. And I'll know that that's a fake account that somebody started. Because there's no way I'm going to fill out an application with a middle initial.
Oh, that's interesting. Or middle name. Maybe we should give you like a fake middle name one of these days. Everybody in the live chat right now, give Cirroc a middle name. Is it like Xavier, like old school Xavier McDaniels? Remember Xavier McDaniel? Something like the Knicks?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's like a P, like Peter.
Or most middle names, if I'm not mistaken, are either your grandfather's name or your father's name, some kind of shout out to somebody in your family that you couldn't get done on the first name, so you do it on the second, right?
Yeah. Yeah, or it's like if it's like some weird old name like Jebediah, you're like, all right, just make it a middle name, I guess. You can't, don't make me a second or a third. Just make it a middle name. And when people ask, just pretend like you didn't hear the question.
Exactly. Just use the initial. Body Parts. Avery Brooks directed. Not really one of Avery's more recognizable directorial, episodes, but nonetheless, it gave him, that's just another credit to his name. I did like the episode, though. There were several elements that I thought was great in this episode.
Yeah, I didn't realize that he directed until just right before we recorded. I checked to see who directed it, and it's fun when that happens because then we like look back and go, oh, okay, so that was his idea, or he did that. I didn't really think about the directing. I tried to guess who wrote it, and I couldn't guess. And so but I didn't look at the directing. Yeah. What must have been fun was this scene, right? Lighting, all the lighting and the colors of the Divine Treasury. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was. And I think there were other elements that was awesome. But, the biggest thing that kept in the back of my mind was actually the B plot of this episode. If you can call it the B plot, it was Kira getting pregnant with O'Brien and Keiko's baby. Was that the B plot?
Yes.
Yeah. And so what I kept thinking was, oh, this is the point in time when Nana was um, pregnant and showing signs, right?
Mhm.
And they had to come up with this clever way to kind of um, trick the audience into having reasons why she's showing. So this whole thing, I believe, is just as a setup to kind of say, hey, this is why Nana is going to be. Kira is pregnant right now, and we're going to write a backstory to kind of fulfill that need.
Right, and I believe I've heard them say in the past, the DS9 writers, that like you guys went on a break, presumably spring break, and you come back and suddenly Nana is pregnant and showing, and so they had to kind of scramble to write that in. And my first thought when I think of that is, I wonder what the original B plot was to this episode, um, and whether it was a B plot that they just, it was just like a filler B plot, or whether it was an important B plot that they're just like, okay, well, we'll add that as a B plot to a later episode. You know what I mean? Like what they
Right.
actually did with that B plot, and if it was an important, um, but it was a good one. It was fine. It worked. And it definitely set up for future episodes when she moved in with suddenly the O'Briens. It's like, it's like a sitcom family. All of a sudden now here's Auntie Nerisse coming in
Yeah.
and Molly O'Brien says, can I play on your bed? And she's like, anytime, you're going to regret that.
Yeah. That was, I thought, one of the things that Column does so well is play the nervous kind of edgy guy who's um, um, deliberating over something that's bothering him, and that I think that's his like boom, that's his niche right there. At least one of them, because he has so many facets to his ability. But I really enjoy that version of him when he starts to, what am I going to do? Can you believe this? And can you believe that? I think they opened the scene where he's talking about Keiko wanting to climb the cliffs of Undalar or something like that.
Underwear, I think it was.
Undalar, yeah, underwear.
To get fungus, I believe it was.
Yeah. So he was deliberating over that, and he's just losing his mind, and he can't believe that. And I thought Dax did a great job of kind of bringing him back down to earth with her comments. Like, oh yeah, maybe the morning sickness and the medical examinations didn't remind her that she was sick. That she was pregnant. She needs your help. So that was kind of a male chauvinistic check that they did in this opening scene, which I thought was good.
I wonder, speaking of male chauvinist, it's my turn to say something. No.
FCA.
No, but I was thinking O'Brien is definitely like the guy that they use for the everyman, the one that's a male chauvinist without realizing. Like, right, the Ferengi are chauvinistic, but they don't care. Like, that's part of their culture. They're like, yeah, I'm chauvinist. Like when Nog says, she's so stupid. And he yells like
she's
they're proud
perfect.
of it. Yeah, exactly. Whereas O'Brien is the one that's like, he's just like a regular guy. He's like, I don't know, whatever. And I do wonder, and maybe we could ask the people in the live chat right now, if you guys are watching this, has O'Brien ever said or done something that was actually offensive? That wasn't just like, oh, that's our O'Brien. Was there ever a moment where you're like, I don't like that, I can't think of any, but I can say that there have been at least 20 or 30 times where I could see it's possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't think of any off the top. The only thing I can think of is the one time he was on that one planet with Bashir, and there were the women around. Wasn't there something that they were trying to talk him in, or he was trying to talk Bashir in? I wasn't sure. I have to kind of rewatch.
I don't remember, but that reminds me of when he like he was saying he wanted Bashir, he wanted Keiko to be more like Bashir or something like that. And then Bashir was
No.
like, oh, so you want to do, I don't remember exactly what it was,
Yeah,
but I could see that
yeah,
one being a little pushing the envelope a
yeah,
little there.
yeah. There's a few that he's pushed the envelope on, but it's always kind of this put his foot in his mouth without like it's not harsh. It's almost like he's just mixes his words up, or he doesn't phrase it properly, or it's always putting his foot in his mouth type of situation.
Right.
So it's not like a malicious thing when I look at O'Brien. I don't feel like
Ignorance.
It's more ignorance. It's more, like you said, he's kind of depicted to be like the real everyday, roll your sleeves up, come into work, even though you hate your job sometimes.
You know what he is? Back in the day, they used to, and maybe they still do, but they used to always say that's a software guy. Like software guys, like computer programmers and people that work, they're not really used to working with like people so much. They kind of just like to work with computers because computers don't change. Mechanical things you can fix, but you put them in the social situation and they're just a little less comfortable around people,
Right. Right. I would agree with that. I think that's pretty good. But I want to get into this A plot too, because that was also there was some good stuff there too, with Quark and his so-called dying self.
Yeah.
Doric syndrome.
Yeah, I mean, and it does make you wonder. And I thought they were going to answer this question this episode. I was kind of waiting for it, and they didn't. I assumed that Brunt was the one that put up the doctor to say that, like paid the doctor to lie and tell Quark that he had Doric's syndrome to convince him, like as a whole ruse to set this up. And that didn't actually come to fruition, but it still kind of left me with the question of, did a doctor really make some kind of, whoops, mistake, who then, rather than telling Quark, tells some other doctor on the station, just, can you send him a message? Can you just tell him blah, blah, blah? That seems less likely to me than it seems like he was just bribed by Brunt. Brunt was like, hey, I'll give you this money if you just tell him this guy for a day. And don't worry why. I have my reasons. And I was kind of waiting for that, and they didn't get it, but I feel like it was still slightly implied or possible, right?
Yes, I think so, and I agree with what you're saying. As far as I was waiting for that too, I assumed that the doctor was in on it with Brunt as well, and that they would kind of expose that. But then I also was kind of waiting for Brunt to find something to swindle him out of. Like I thought it was part of this whole thing to get something out of him, like to give up the bar or to do something. And if it was just to bankrupt him or take away all of his belongings, I think he could have gotten that done on the other episode when his mom was,
right,
or the episode where Rom started a union. There was opportunity there to confiscate all his belongings and shame him or whatever. So this going through this entire scheme just to get that done didn't seem like it was something that he needed to do, right?
Yeah, and the other thing was that Brunt does say at one point, he says, this isn't business, it's personal. And my thinking was that makes him a bad Ferengi. Like the whole point of the Ferengi is don't make it personal. It's just business. It's just business. There's nothing personal. And Brunt is trying to take down Quark as personal vengeance, not in any way a business proposition or anything that's going to improve. In fact, he's spending 1 million slips of latinum just to teach Quark a lesson, or presumably would have. That's a terrible business decision. He needs to be, if Quark should then tell the Grand Negus or the FCA, say, hey, this guy is not even doing business right. He's just going out for personal vengeance, and he should be removed from, oh man, I should have my tie for that. He should be removed from the FCA because he is not, he's not working within the rules,
Yeah, because he's not motivated by profit in this particular.
The opposite,
There's
even. Yeah.
no right. He could have made a profit. He was offered a profit, and Quark even says to him, "All right, name your price. What do you want? I'll give you 10 pieces, 12 pieces. All right, just get to the point already." But he wasn't motivated by profit. He was motivated by personal vendetta, personal vengeance, which would totally disqualify him from all the rules of acquisition, because he's essentially throwing money away, just like burn his pieces or chop them up or whatever he said, however he wants to destroy them.
Right.
So that's a throwing away of money. He's actually losing and taking a
And
loss.
right. And his entire job is to enforce the way people do business and to punish people that are throwing money away. Like he even said at one point, which was hilarious, he accused Quark of being a philanthropist. He was like, oh, doing things that are poor business decisions for personal reasons. But that's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other issue I had, and I know we're kind of picking it on it, and there were
It's
good things
Brunt. He
about this
deserves it.
episode.
He deserves to be picked on.
Yeah, he's the brunt of our jokes.
Oh, zip, zing.
Yes. But so this is another problem I had. I feel like at this point we're on episode 24. The last episode we did, we were um, talking about. We went to that planet. They had the electromagnet, the kukulaka, and all of that stuff, right? It was the quickening episode.
Right.
But I just, but I'm just, I'm only saying that because in some way I feel like what they're doing with me is they're giving me a little bit of the Dominion, and then they back away from it, and then they give it some more, and they back away from it. And at this point, at 24. And I'm pretty sure we're about to get only 2 more episodes left for the end of the season, that we're going to be getting somewhere into the Dominion story again in these next couple of episodes. My guess, completely. But if you're going to be, leaving us on a cliffhanger in the end of this season, it's going to probably be something that is going to make you think that the Dominion is coming and it's going down. That's my guess.
Right.
And so why I say that is because some of these storylines feel like they were written before and slated up, and they're just kind of mixing them around, because we had Robert was telling us that they had Worf kind of thrown in on them in this season, right? So they had to mix stuff around. They did the Worf storylines early in the season, and they changed some things around. Now they're doing this, these other storylines, and I'm just feeling like that this episode was written for a different period or time, maybe the 3rd season, and they just got back to it, or it was written earlier, and then they just said, "Hey, we can use that episode to do the Nana pregnant things. So let's use that now." It just makes me think, what was the process in the writer's room for why they used this episode at this particular time?
Right. It does feel like it's one that could have been done at any time. It doesn't really affect the seasonal or series arcs, except for Nana, the B plot. But the A plot could have been the first episode of the first season, or one of the last episodes of the last season. Could have gone anywhere. And it's probably, that they're just, they're saving a few bucks, because you're right. The final episode of season 4, I believe, is the next one. So it's probably going to be a 2-part episode, and it's probably going to be pretty big and pretty badass. And so this one and the previous one, they're trying not to get too crazy with the budget, because they need it for the next episode. And really, how much did they really have to spend? The big parts were this divine treasury, and also the bar scenes are usually a little bit more expensive, because they do kind of, but I noticed they definitely go out of their way to add a lot of really cool aliens. Like I did see a Euridian walking out with Quark when the bar got closed. Shout out to the Euridians. That's like the guy that looks like a prune. He's just like a big prune face, and they kind of walk like this, And
I saw a green alien with Sisko at the end when he came with the furniture.
Right, and we'd seen that alien before, but I don't know what it is. I don't recall, but yeah, we did see that one too. Yeah,
and it was a really good makeup job on that one too. Because I was like, "Whoa, that looks pretty good."
Right.
But yes, you're right. They do have a little bit of expenses. I mean, Quark's bar is already built. It's nothing that they have to, just it's mostly set dressing and filling in extras, double girls, and aliens. So yeah, they were saving money on the budget on this one, and really relying on Armin to carry this episode because it's pretty much Armin and Jeffrey Combs, but mainly Armin carrying this episode.
Right, Mr. Shimmerman and Mr. Combs, they're definitely Armin. Those two, right?
Yeah, they are. I have to say that we got a couple of rules of acquisition in this one.
Yes, we did.
Did you get them? Did you get them? I'm looking for a number.
Let's see if I can find them in my notes. I actually took way more notes than I usually do for this one. So we've got rule of acquisition number 17. A contract is a contract is a contract, but only between Ferengi. That's a great one. And
by the way, I noticed that when he was talking about the list of people to pay back, when he was saying I need to pay these people back, they were all Ferengis, right? They were
right. Because a contract with other people. Well, he did say something about like the Klingons, I think, or something, but he didn't name anybody specific. But that's because like it's only amongst Ferengis. Amongst other people, who cares?
Hey, I fell short.
Hey, whatever. So the other rule of acquisition, number 239, never be afraid to mislabel a product.
Yeah. I thought that was kind of funny too.
Speaking of labeling a product, this episode is called Body Parts. And that does kind of, they always like to have a good title that kind of brings the two plots together. And, the A plot, Body Parts, Quark in a way is selling his body parts, and Nana is, and Keiko's body parts are being discussed and rummaged around. Maybe there's another reason for the title, but that was my assumption why it was called Body Parts. I do like, I do like their choice of episode titles. Usually, they're usually really good about having interesting title names.
They are. This one's real matter of fact, so it's not really much to dig into. But yeah, they dealt with it. I thought it was interesting because O'Brien, he kind of took it really easily when they were like, "Yeah, your baby's in that other lady over there." Like, I don't know how well I would be able to handle that information if somebody said that to me. And it's like, okay, so she's going to deliver the baby, or she's delivering, So that was kind of a. And then the other thing I didn't think they got too far into detail, and I would have liked to know is. So they cut up Quark, or they cut up Ferengi into 52 pieces. Like they didn't really explain that cultural practice or tradition as well as I thought they could have. Is that what they do? They cut your body up into pieces and sell it?
Yeah, they dry you up. They suck out all of the water out of you or hydration, so that you're just like
a jerky, beef jerky.
Yeah, like beef jerky, like beef Quarky, and
Quarky.
So and throughout the episode, I was kind of morbidly picturing what that would look like to have something. I mean, first of all, they would get shrunk down to probably like only like a foot and a half, and they're just like, I mean, because even beef jerky has a little bit of, it's kind of like if you have like this food that has been vacuum sealed and has had all of the liquid sucked out of it, and it's like just add liquid, and it opens back up like they do it with like peas or something. I mean, they do it with stuff. So I just imagine that with like a human or a Ferengi. And then like, does that mean if they drop the thing in a bathtub, that'll just kind of like slowly turn into a corpse? But that's what it is. It's pretty morbid. It's pretty gross. And I don't see any value to it. And it is strange that the Ferengi who value business would have something that I don't see how that could be a good business decision for any of them. But we're actually out of time for this first part here, so we're going to take a quick break. Very quickly, a shout out to Abyssinian Kiosk. Hey, that is Cirroc's sister's website. She makes awesome. I thought so. I thought I saw the top of that one. That one's beautiful. Yeah. What's that one?
This is just like that polka dot type cross.
Beautiful. So Cirroc's sister does these. It's called AbyssinianKiosk.com. We include it in the description box below. Check it out. It makes great gifts for yourself or for others. This one is the Sisko kid design. I don't know what that design is called, but it's glorious. And just check it out. The description box below. Just click on that, AbyssinianKiosk.com, and it goes to a good place. Cirroc's sister is uber talented, very nice, and she makes cool stuff. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back on the seventh rule with Citrus Lofton.
Citrus.